Praise the Lord, everybody. I'm back again. I wanted to clarify a few things I said in the last video, so to make it clear. So I don't want to. It was not my intent at all to become controversial. And there, as I was saying, there has become a saying, or it has become I believe is religious because it's just thrown out there that you have to be doing something. God's not going to help you if you're just sitting around doing nothing. Now, I'm not advocating just sitting around and doing nothing. And if you have a job, you need to go to your job and work at your job. There's things that you may need to do, and you must be sure that you are actually hearing from the Lord. The Lord is giving you instruction. When we actually came to South Africa, the Lord spoke to me actually on, it was my birthday on the 23rd, 2023, May 9th, my birthday. And the Lord spoke to me and said, get out of America. And he actually said to me, America is going to be a crater. Those were the words he spoke to me. And I shared that with my wife. I shared it with my mother. And then from that day, 1 year exactly, we actually got our visas delivered to our house on May 9th, 2024. And then we left 5 days later, and then we were in South Africa after that. That was about 2 years and 2 months ago, from now, approximately. So we knew specifically what the Lord was telling us to do. And the Lord told us that when we got over here, we had there's one mandate that he gave us initially coming over here was that we continue to counsel. We talk about the Lord all day long, and we take counsel, and that's what the Lord designated this time that we share. It's called counsel. So we would look forward every morning, every day, sometime during the day to counsel. And we would sit around for hours and we would talk to the Lord and the Lord would talk to us. And so the Lord said, gave us the mandate that that was the one thing that we must continue. And the Lord said it and we all agreed. We acknowledged that it was the Lord. We all agreed that's what we'll do. So since we've been here, that's what we have been doing every day. We have been speaking to and listening to the Lord, and we've been waiting on the Lord. There have been several times where we have tried to move in certain directions, but the Lord was specifically telling us, no, wait, stay still. Things that we tried to do did not work. I was even telling my wife just yesterday, maybe the day before, how easily things are flowing now as far as ideas, as far as things to speak about, since the Lord said go, since the Lord said speak. But prior to that, it's like I couldn't get one good idea in my head. Nothing would stick. Nothing was coherent or cohesive. So I want to make this clear that when God says stay still, when he says wait, you wait. If you don't know what that means, you wait until he tells you what that means. But one of the things that the Lord was doing with us is he was taking us out of the world system, out of that American system. And you really can't see it. I didn't realize how much we were integrated into that system, even in our unconscious thoughts, until we came out of it. So once we came out of the system and the Lord began to speak to us, he began to let us know we had to come to the place where we renounced and we denounced everything that the world taught us. We realized that since grade school, they lied to us about everything. They lied to you about mathematics. They lied to you about health. They lied to you about the sciences. They lied to you about social studies and history. They lie about everything. They lie about astronomy and I was about to say astrology. We don't mess with astrology, but they lie to us about everything. So you have to get to a point where you empty your cup out and you're not looking for God to take you and put you back into the devil's system. This is like winning a Grammy Award, which is a satanic achievement, and becoming happy and excited about it because the devil has acknowledged you. It doesn't make sense. The systems of the world, God said, be not conformed to this world. And we must move this to this place of faith that God can provide for us in the wilderness. We have to walk in this place in our minds and relationship with him that goes beyond our expectations and all of our qualifications. And, we want God to come down into our level. We want to say, well, just use common sense because God would expect you. We can't speak for God. We have to get into this place, really in this place where we're asking God, God, what is it that you want me to do? And most people don't believe God. I said this in the last video. Your behavior indicates what you really believe. Most people believe God to the extent of what they perceive to be as reality and common sense, but they won't go beyond that and really trust God for the phenomenal, for the stupendous. So we get to a point where we get insecure and we get uncomfortable, and believe me, I've been there, and we try to help God. We try to do the things that are practical. We try to do things because this just makes sense. God wouldn't want you to sit around. And that's what that means. Wait on the Lord. There's an interesting story in the book of Jasher. And the book of Jasher is kind of a commentary or a complementary book to Genesis. And in Jasher, it gives you more insight into the story of Joseph. And when Joseph actually went to see Pharaoh, he went back to, after he went to Pharaoh, he went back and went to sleep. I'm not sure if he went back to his jail cell or if he went to another chamber, but he went to see Pharaoh, and Pharaoh wanted to make him governor. But the princes and the noblemen, they didn't want him to be made governor, so they pointed out that in order to be made governor over Egypt, you had to know all 70 of the languages. There are 70 languages that were spoken in the world. And in order to be made governor over Egypt, you had to know all of those languages. So Joseph was visited by an angel that night, and the angel gave Joseph all 70 languages. The next day, when he went to see Pharaoh, Pharaoh sat on a throne atop 70 steps, a staircase of 70 stairs, a staircase of 70 steps. Okay, and on every step, Pharaoh addressed Joseph in a different language. And when Joseph answered fluently, the princes and the noblemen and everyone were astounded until he got all the way to the top, and he was able to look at Pharaoh face to face. See, when God has something for you, right? Once you have given your will over to God, once you have given your mind that you will serve Him, once you have displayed your obedience to God, God will then give you what you need to perform the job that He wants you to do. It wasn't just it wasn't just that God set the situation up, because He did. Joseph got up, and when he woke up that morning, he had no idea that he was going to go to see Pharaoh. And he had no idea that he was going to be granted the opportunity to be governor. And he had no idea that he could do it because he was not qualified. When the position was offered to him, he was not qualified. And there were those around him that made sure that everybody knew that he wasn't qualified. Because there's always somebody who doesn't want you to have what the Lord wants you to have. But what God has for you is definitely for you. So the things that you need to perform the task that God has set for you, if you don't have them now, God will give them to you miraculously if that's what He decides to do. What you don't want to do is you don't want to head off in a direction that God has not sent you, because all of that becomes fruitless. It becomes futile. You want to stay in the presence of the Lord. Joseph, he was in a place of isolation. Joseph was in a place where he had no alternative but to speak to God. When Joseph tried to, and this is in the King James Bible. Actually, it's highlighted in Jasher, but it's mentioned in King James, and the 66 book canonization, that Joseph, when he tried to take matters into his own hands, and he tried to prophesy, and when he prophesied and interpreted the dreams of the baker and the butler, he had 2 years added on to his sentence, because God wanted him to know that it is me that delivers you. I'm going to provide the situation for you to get out of jail. And once you get out of jail and go before Pharaoh, I'm going to give you everything that you need to be successful in the task that I have laid out for you. So understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you don't do and take care of the natural task and the natural things of life. But if God affords you an opportunity to be totally taken and put away with Him for a while, get there and don't rush out. Don't be impatient. Don't feel like, oh, I've just been here too long, and I've been here so long, and I'm getting old now, and things are not working out well, and I've got to go out and start my ministry. You'll fail. God's timing is perfect. Our times are in His hands, and He knows exactly when and how to bring you out, to put you into the situation that He wants you to be. And whatever you need for the situation, He will give to you, even if He has to give it to you miraculously and supernaturally. God can do it. Be not wise in your own eyes, and lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct thy path.